Today's project is a 1998 Lincoln Town Car with a faulty alternator. The car's electronics have drained the battery, and the microprocessor battery charger with its 100 amp boost can't turn it over. Even a jump start can't spin the starter because the battery is sapping lots of energy and not leaving enough reserve for the starter draw. I disconnected the battery overnight to prevent the car's electrical system from draining the residual charge left over from the jump start attempts. The following day I used a truck with a high amperage alternator to jump start the car. With the vehicle running, I disconnected the jumper cables. After a short time, the car would stall. Before disconnecting any electrical wires in the system, always disconnect the negative battery cable first. There is no risk of sparks if a metal tool was to contact the ground while disconnecting the negative battery cable. The alternator is shrouded with a beauty cover. I use a 1/4-inch drive ratchet with a 6-inch extension to remove the square drive fastener. With the cover removed, now it's time to get down to business. Remove the nut from the positive terminal pin on the alternator. The alternator was putting out no voltage. It had given up the ghost. The belt is under extreme spring tension, but a 1/2-inch ratchet will apply enough leverage to release the belt from the alternator multi-groove pulley. Leave the ratchet engaged. You'll need it soon enough. The air intake resonator has to be released from the intake manifold to gain access to the upper alternator mount bolts. With the resonator loose, a socket with an extension will allow access to the rear bolts. Remove all 4 upper mount bolts. The 2 front bolts need to be loosened only slightly to allow the alternator to be lifted and rotated forward to allow easier access to the voltage regulator terminal connector. Squeeze the tab, press down to disengage the locking tab, and then pull up to remove the connector. Now for the sticker shock. A remanufactured alternator is approximately $200, and the core, the old alternator, is worth about $25. The first step in replacing the new alternator is to plug in the regulator connector. The connector weather seal makes for a very tight fit. It must be pressed firmly into place. Listen for the click and then pull back to make sure it's fully engaged. Now rest the alternator on the forward mounting bolts. Carefully position the mounting bracket over the fuel crossover tubes and insert the 4 fasteners and tighten hand tight. Connect the positive wire to the red terminal on the top of the alternator and tighten the nut. Using a large ratchet or breaker bar, pull back on the tensioner to release the tension and slip the belt carefully into the grooves of the pulley and check for alignment on each of the pulleys. Tighten the forward mount bolts from 15 to 22 foot-pounds of torque. Torque the upper bracket mount bolts to 71 to 106 inch-pounds of torque. Carefully slip the boot over the terminal to prevent contamination. Next, slip the resonator over the stud and install the washer and the nut. The resonator nut torque is 45 to 61 inch-pounds. Slip the beauty cover over the 2 prongs on the front of the alternator bracket and then tighten the fastener with a 1/4-inch ratchet and extension. The beauty cover torque is 71 to 106 inch-pounds. Connect the negative battery cable, start the engine, and test the voltage. The alternator needs to put out slightly more power than the battery to allow it to charge the battery. Mine was reading 14.1 and 14.2 volts when it was revved up. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions about your car, please leave them in the comments section below. If you've learned something, please like and share. Subscribers are always welcome.